I was studying medicine abroad when I got the call. My father was dead. But that wasn't the worst part. My stepmother said she'd handle everything while I grieved. I trusted her completely. What I discovered when I came home will shock you. She stole my entire $1.20 million inheritance and disappeared to another country. But what happened next? You won't believe how this ends. Watch till the end. Hello family, before we start this intriguing story, we will like you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified once we drop new story. Also comment the time you are watching this and country you are watching from. Nikaya sat hunched over her medical textbooks in the quiet corner of Cambridge University Library. The fluorescent lights hummed softly as she traced diagrams of the human heart, preparing for her final exams. Her phone buzzed against the wooden table. The caller ID showed Home Lagos. Her stepmother Zephilina's voice cracked through the speaker. Your father, he's gone, Nikaya. Heart attack this morning. The textbook slipped from Nikaya's trembling hands as the world around her seemed to freeze. Through tears, Nikaya booked the earliest flight to Lagos. Zephilina's voice had been strangely calm during their conversation about funeral arrangements. Don't worry about anything, her stepmother had said. I'll handle all the legal matters. You just focus on your studies and getting home safely. Something felt off about Zephilina's tone, but grief clouded Nikaya's judgment. She trusted the woman who had raised her since she was 12, after her mother's death. The humid Lagos air hit Nikaya's face as she stepped off the plane at Murtala Muhammad Airport. Her father's driver, Emeka, waited with red-rimmed eyes. During the drive through Victoria Island's busy streets, he spoke softly. Your papa was proud of you studying medicine abroad. He always said you would save lives like he saved businesses. The familiar skyline of Lagos Island came into view, but the city felt different now, emptier without her father's presence waiting at home. At the sprawling family compound in Ikoyi, relatives gathered in the living room. Nikaya noticed how Zephilina commanded attention, speaking authoritatively about her father's affairs. Rashid left everything in order, she announced to the assembled family. The businesses, the properties, everything is being handled properly. Uncle Babatunde nodded approvingly, but Nikaya caught a fleeting glance between him and Zephilina. Something unspoken passed between them, making her stomach tighten with unease. 3 days after the funeral, the family lawyer, Barrister Al-Yamid, gathered everyone in his office. Zephilina sat confidently beside Nikaya as the will was read aloud. To my beloved daughter Nikaya, I leave my entire estate valued at $1.2 million, including all businesses and properties. Nikaya gasped, overwhelmed by her father's generosity. Zephilina's face remained expressionless, but her fingers drummed silently on her purse. Of course, until Nikaya completes her studies, I'll manage everything as trustee, she said smoothly. Back in her cramped Cambridge dormitory, Nikaya struggled to concentrate on her studies. The weight of inheriting her father's empire felt overwhelming. She called Zephilina weekly for updates. The textile factory is doing well, her stepmother would report. I've hired new managers for the real estate holdings. Everything is growing beautifully, darling. But when Nikaya asked for financial statements, Zephilina always had excuses. The accountant is updating the books, or, I'll send them next week. Months passed and still no documents arrived. Nikaya's unease grew like a cancer in her chest. One rainy Thursday evening, a knock echoed through Nikaya's dorm room. Standing in the hallway was Chibiz, her father's former business partner, dripping wet from the London rain. His usually cheerful face was grave. I've been trying to reach you for months, he said, stepping inside. There are things about your stepmother you need to know. Your father? He didn't trust her completely. He gave me something before he died. From his briefcase, he pulled out a sealed envelope marked "For Nikaya's eyes only," in her father's distinctive handwriting. With shaking hands, Nikaya tore open the envelope. Inside was a letter and several bank statements. Her father's words jumped off the page. My dearest daughter, if you're reading this, I'm gone and Zephilina is likely managing my affairs. I discovered she has gambling debts and connections to dangerous people. I've moved most of our liquid assets to a secret account in your name. The combination to my office safe is your mother's birthday. Trust no one except Chibiz. The bank statements showed $800,000 already transferred to her personal account in London. Chibiz leaned forward, his voice barely a whisper. Your father suspected Zephilina was planning something. 3 months before he died, she tried to get him to change his will. When he refused, she became different, distant. She started meeting with strange men at expensive hotels. He pulled out photographs from his phone, Zeffalina with well-dressed men outside luxury casinos in Victoria Island. I hired a private investigator. She owes over $200,000 to loan sharks. They're threatening her life if she doesn't pay soon. That night, Nikaya called Zeffalina, her heart pounding. Mama, I need to come home for a few weeks. My professors are concerned about my grades since father's death. Zeffalina's voice became sharp. Absolutely not. You must focus on your studies. Besides, there's nothing here for you to handle. I'm managing everything perfectly. In the background, Nikaya heard unfamiliar male voices and the sound of poker chips clinking. Who's there with you? She asked innocently. Just the gardeners, Zeffalina lied smoothly. I must go now. Don't call again unless it's an emergency. The line went dead, leaving Nikaya staring at her phone in growing horror. 2 weeks later, Chibiz called Nikaya with devastating news. She's done it. His voice trembled with anger. Zeffalina has sold everything, the textile factory, the apartment buildings, even your father's Mercedes collection. The buyers think she's the legal owner. Nikaya's laptop screen showed empty business registrations where her father's companies once existed. But how? The will clearly states. She forged documents, Chibiz interrupted. Used fake court orders claiming you renounced your inheritance. The buyers paid her directly. Nikaya, your stepmother has stolen nearly everything and disappeared with the money. Nikaya booked an emergency flight to Lagos, her mind racing with fury and determination. At the family compound, she found chaos, furniture covered in sheets, utilities disconnected, and a for sale sign planted in the front yard. The security guard, Mustafa, approached with tears in his eyes. Small madam, your stepmother fired all of us last month. She said you were never coming back from abroad. He handed her a crumpled business card. This man came asking questions about Madame Zeffalina. Said he was looking for her too. The business card led Nikaya to a dimly lit office in Lagos mainland. Behind, a heavily built man with gold teeth, smiled coldly when she introduced herself. Ah, the daughter. Your stepmother owes me $350,000. She promised to pay after selling your papa's properties. His laugh was menacing. She paid me $150,000 last week, then vanished. But I know where she is. He slid a photograph across the desk, Zeffalina boarding a private jet at Lagos airport. Ghana. She's hiding in Accra with my money and yours. Using her father's hidden account, Nikaya hired a private investigator and flew to Accra. They found Zeffalina living luxuriously in a penthouse overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. When Nikaya knocked on the door, her stepmother's face turned white as chalk. How did you're supposed to be in school? Zeffalina stammered. You stole my inheritance, Nikaya said calmly, stepping inside. The apartment was filled with expensive artwork and designer furniture. I raised you. I deserved something too. Zeffalina screamed, but her voice cracked with guilt and fear. The confrontation was recorded by the investigator hidden in the hallway. Within hours, Interpol arrested Zeffalina for fraud and money laundering. The stolen funds were frozen, and Nikaya began the long process of recovering her father's estate. 6 months later, standing in the rebuilt textile factory now employing twice as many workers, Nikaya reflected on her journey. She had learned that betrayal could come from those closest to you, but justice always finds a way. Her father's legacy would live on through her hands that would heal both bodies as a doctor and communities as a business owner. Moral lesson: trust is precious, but blind trust can be dangerous. Always verify important matters yourself, even with family. Greed destroys relationships and ultimately destroys the greedy person. When facing betrayal, seek truth through proper channels rather than seeking revenge. Justice may be slow, but it is sure when pursued with patience and evidence. The complete story shows how Nikaya's initial trust was exploited, but through careful investigation and legal channels, she was able to recover what was rightfully hers while learning valuable lessons about human nature and the importance of vigilance in protecting one's interests. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos like this.